to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For everyone, please turn your cell phones to silent or electronic devices. I'm not sure what other electronic devices. Are there any additions or deletions or corrections?
I would make one addition to under personnel number 1, under, we need to add action. We forgot to put action there.
Can I get a motion to accept the agenda as corrected, please?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Visitor comments.
We do have one visitor, Chris from Food Service is gonna share some stuff with you.
Welcome.
Hello, everyone. So last month I had another meeting, so I couldn't make this one, but this is kind of our monthly report to kind of go over. We've been taking some pictures of some of the stuff that's going on, trying different things. As far as I know, everything has been going pretty well. The kids seem to be liking everything. I'm getting the numbers kind of in line. I'm going to try for the next 2 months to bring our breakfast numbers up a little bit, get some bigger meals and stuff. The kids aren't liking cereal very much, so that's going to go. But right now, everything is trying to get more homemade. We had a pretty good turnout today with the popcorn chicken bowls, so that was pretty surprising to me. I didn't expect the high schoolers to go through as much as they did. So
Nice.
I would assume the breakfast sandwiches go over pretty well.
yeah, for the most part, the ones that we were using, the Husky ones before, the kids didn't seem to like those very much. When I changed them, they really went really well. So I think it's just a matter of having the same thing and getting used to it.
Yeah.
And if I change it, it's something new, and then they all want to try something new. So
Josh, can you, like, when kids show up, how long do they have for breakfast?
So they come in about 7:55 is when we open doors.
Yeah.
Yeah, and everybody's out by about 8:25,
So they have to be in their classroom by 8?
8:30.
Okay,
Classes start at 9:30.
okay.
Kindergarten comes down though, don't they?
Nope.
They,
You know, we started that last year. They come in right away too.
oh, they do that, okay.
Yeah.
Pre-K.
I would say
Pre-K
last
and stuff
bus,
does.
typically we have everybody has gone through the line and is seated by about 8:10.
Okay. Preschool comes through after.
Yeah, school readiness comes through.
Okay.
Okay.
And the buses, I know, call if they're gonna be late and ask the whole breakfast.
Okay.
Will we be having, do we have to do the food service meetings again this fall?
We do, we'll do it. We have some students that are to be representative, but we'll do one here in November at some point. We did it last year in November, but kind of waiting for me to get back and figure it out.
kitchen staff is fully manned now. We have all the hours up and going. Everything's going well and smoothly there. I am still looking at changing the menu slowly. As things get on, I get more familiar with how the LAR system works. So there'll be some new stuff on the menu every month as we go through until I feel like I have a command of it. So,
Nice, good job.
all right.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other visitor comments, gentlemen?
Let's consider the consent agenda, the minutes of the previous monthly board meeting, the cash flow including investments, monthly bills paid in the activity account, the personnel summary sheet, and then our donations, which we'd like to thank DT Midstream for their $500 donation, and then Dorcas, 3 different times because they donated $2,000 to each, the elementary, the middle school, and the high school. So thank you to Dorcas and DT Midstream for their donations. Can I get a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented?
I'll make that one.
I'll second.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. All right, moving on to special board reports with possible action. Tonight, we're starting with facilities. It's almost like we have a guest.
Yeah, Madam Chair, and the facility committee met the day after our last board meeting and met with Robert again from Wold, and we asked Robert to do a presentation with a little bit more of the updated information that the facility committee asked for just more clarification on. So I'll turn it over to Robert, and as you go, if you have questions, feel free to ask Robert or either Cassie or Sarah. So, okay, it's all yours, Robert.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, feel free to interrupt at any time. Kind of took my planning updates there, but we're just gonna like, like Mike said, we met with the facilities committee, I think 2 times over the last 4 to 6 weeks, just to kind of dial in on square footage, scope, and just get into a little bit more detail on the process and budget. So we're gonna show you 2 different options today. They're relatively similar. The facilities committee has heard me say this multiple times, but it's a plan. It looks like it's designed, but it's not designed. How we typically operate is we put a kit of parts in there based off of feedback that we've gathered along the way to make sure that the square footage works, that it's on budget, and that we know we can fit the things in there. But we have a pretty extensive user-driven process where we'll sit down with stakeholders and figure out what the exact, shape and configuration of everything that goes into there. So this is more like a test fit, if you will, to get us comfortable with the scope and the budget, and that we know we can fit the right amount of equipment in there, et cetera. And then we've got some courtyard options, just some to go over the interior renovation is going to happen at the choir room and the wrestling room, and then some exterior renderings, and then just some examples. And then, like I said, feel free to interrupt with questions at any point. So this is what we had, I think, 6 options at one point, and we've settled on option 3. So we have an option, this is 3A. Both options are 3,900 square feet. Like I said, it looks like it's finalized, but it's not. We know we're going to need vestibules. We know we're going to need a toilet room changing area, and we know we're going to have a certain amount of equipment and some storage and maintenance. So we just kind of take a shot at what actually fits within the site constraints. And then something that's new from the facility committee, just for reference, put some local other weight room sizes there for comparison. So if you can't see that, we got Albany at 3,600, Holly 28, Pequot at 4,950, and then Perm at 2,400, just to get a rough idea of what they've got.
And the square footage includes the vestibules, right?
Yes, because we'll have to do renovation here, so some of it's existing square foot, but it isn't the total number. I try to be as conservative as possible.
What's the square footage of the courtyard?
It's a little, in this option, it's a little under 3,000 square feet. I can get the exact number.
But that, the exact number's not relevant. Thank you.
So the inside space is the 3,900?
Yeah, it's-
Not the courtyard?
Correct, so the building construction is 3,900 square feet. And so we know we'll have a vestibule, we know we'll have a reception, waiting area, toilet room that'll be big enough for some changing, and then a storage maintenance room. And then we just took a shot at what you guys currently have, maybe a little bit more. We don't want to do an addition and have it be slightly undersized or realize we have a need for more equipment. So I think most of these, there's 1 or 2 more pieces of equipment that we currently have. And that equipment is allocated in the FF&E, the project cost in there to buy some new equipment and use a lot of some money. Other minor details, there's 2 windows in each classroom, so if we did a configuration like this, we'd most likely want to add a window here into this wall because we'd be losing natural daylight into that room. But again, the exact configuration might change where we figure out a way to maintain one of those windows similar to what we did on this other side.
It's in the window in that classroom will be over.
Yeah, there's 2,
Yep, and that one I get.
but we saved this one.
There you go.
So we probably want to add one here, and that's in the budget.
So, is this the time of the question?
Yeah.
So, my personal opinion is the courtyard without a roof over it is wasted space for a school that is in northern Minnesota.
Mhm.
My first question is, do you have similar schools in our environment that have courtyards, and how often are they actually utilized throughout the school year?
A different answer first. We've been discussing this like it's only going to be used April to October, but not in the winter at all. The courtyard itself.
Okay, so the courtyard, so my next question is, why are we out in front of the school at all? Why is this whole thing not shoved back in there? And none of this space in front of the school, it can just stay. We can keep the funny little U-shaped thing that's out in front. Like why, if the courtyard is not usable year-round, why do we have it?
So a couple different answers to that. Number one, with construction like this, we'd most likely be taking out probably half of that anyway would get disturbed and need to be replaced back to whatever it would be. So we would already be putting something new into that courtyard. And then we're also cutting off access. So we talked no maintenance, low maintenance, putting in turf is a relatively cheap option, and then you don't have to maintain inside there.
I
And then if you're not
understand that,
using it in the summer.
but why
So
have,
I'll skip ahead of it.
why have this at all? Why not just shove the whole thing back?
So
If we can't use that courtyard year round?
So basically, the most expensive square footage for this is right here and here, and right here and here against the existing building. If we did that, you'd lose all of the windows into the classroom, but it would probably cost, I think, twice as much.
Why?
Because we have to create a new structural next to this wall. So like the building code requirements, we're gonna have to build another wall next to this wall, so if we had to do that in the entire thing, that's like 1.8.
So the current walls are not structurally sound enough to hold
Correct.
a roof,
Correct.
is what you're saying?
We can't tack on to these walls structurally.
It
So
boils,
it was a cost exercise primarily.
it boils down to cost. If you go all the way back, you have to do more structural things, which cost you more money.
And it's just expensive construction anyway, next to the existing building, so we tried to limit
It sounds asinine.
But we were-
But with codes.
Yeah.
It is big.
And does anybody have that? This courtyard concept, I guess, other schools, can you think?
it. Not that have been, I can find some, we do a lot of turfing around like receiving, so low maintenance areas. And so I think we were talking in here, we're already gonna be disturbing at least half of the courtyard and have to do new work in there, so why not do turf and it could be, used for 6-7 months out of the year.
You did show us pictures of other schools that have, I would say, turf
Yeah.
areas, and maybe not in a called a courtyard, but
Right,
outside turf
right.
areas, the same type of turf that we're proposing to put in there.
I mean, they do it in garages all the
I
time.
have, this just literally dawned on me. What if, why couldn't we turn that courtyard, I know this is gonna cost more to roof it, I get it. Turn that courtyard into the wrestling room, and the wrestling room / old choir room becomes classroom space. Because we know we need classroom space.
Because of the cost of.
Well, I understand that, but I think a better sell to the public is covering all your bases for academic. We're gonna ask to spend money, we're able to, you guys were able to successfully get the community to vote on a CTC center. But if we get rid of the courtyard and create it to a usable space 12 months of the year versus 4 months of the year, 6 months of the year, I think you're gonna have an easier time selling this to the public. I don't know if we're to that point or
Bridget,
not,
I
but
don't know what, I'm trying to, what do you need this? You're not going to the public for a vote.
We're not going for a
This is just lease levy, which is your authority. So the public doesn't vote on this. So when you say, so I'm trying to
Okay,
understand, when you
okay.
say your public
I
support,
was thinking that we were going to the public.
you don't have to. If you build a roof and you do anything else, then you will have to, because we don't have the money in lease levy to do that. So this is all just like what we did with the early childhood center, Bridget. The board had the authority to build that building off the lease levy dollars. So you're not going to the community for support. That's why we're trying to keep the cost, trying to meet the needs that we have with the cost.
I understand, I
And putting a
understand
roof-
what you're saying,
putting
and
a roof on
I
or
could be
moving it
outnumbered
back.
on the
Yeah,
board,
or
and that's
creating
okay, I
that, that
understand.
adds.
But basically,
I just feel like,
2
even
million.
when we get this built, the community is gonna come to us and be like, what the heck is that? We can't use it. And
Well,
then,
I
mean,
disagree.
Hear that.
I disagree with you, Bridget, as a
Okay.
former coach and a trainer. Like, I think Matt would say to you, 6 months out of the year, that area is gonna be used with agility drills. Our adult class could use it for 6 months out of the year.
They'll stay out of the hallways.
It gives you a lot more usable space.
Okay.
Because like right now, our groups go into the gym to do agility drills because we don't have the room, which now they could go into that. Now, they can't go in there in the winter,
which,
but.
like right now, let's say right now, you're gonna go outside and do your agility drill?
Probably not today. Maybe if it's 50, you could. But, it's basically, like I said, April through but it does give you some space, and the reason we did this was because of maintenance. We don't have to do anything with that area
Right.
either, because,
I understand.
but if you do anything more than that, lease levy won't cover it. So then you gotta go to a referendum and a vote, it's gonna cost you more money, and they could say no. And then we're back to square one too, where we don't have the wrestling room and things. So I get what you're saying, but this would be, you guys have a decision, basically. You could say yes to this and the lease levy, or you could do more and then take it to a community for a vote, which would maybe happen this spring. And they could say yes or no to that. So now you gotta do the referendum, the sell, the bond. That's your decision.
And that's not at this spring, that by the time everything's said and done, it'll be next fall before we get to that point.
Probably,
And remember, everybody is entitled to their own,
Yeah.
you don't have to vote as a group.
no, I mean, this is what the group decided, you know, the facilities was trying to meet the needs of a wrestling room, a choir room, a bigger weight room, with the budget that we had with lease levy dollars, which didn't cost a whole lot to the tax impact.
So the goal was just, so we don't have to bond, this is the best, what we could come up with.
And what's the square footage of our current weight room?
13 to 50.
Less than.
Yeah, so it's more than double the size of our current weight room.
But the current one doesn't have, a vestibule, toilet room, or storage room. It's either reusable, it's a little bit closer.
And the
It's
nice
just a-
part
it's just
is
an open box, right?
with this, this is a little, well, close, about $100,000 off, I think. But, which in this area, I'm gonna go with $500,000 home, because I've been looking at cost of homes these days, it's $46 a year. So the tax impact is not atrocious. $46 might be for some people, but also get $500,000.
But, right, Sarah, I agree with that. And the other piece of it is it does, like, we voted to have our own wrestling program.
Yeah, we-
And if you're gonna have a wrestling program, those kids deserve a facility. It's like you wouldn't have a football team without a football field. That was a whole theory, back when we had the CTC Center, the conversation was those musical kids, choir kids and band deserve to have a facility. And
I think when we first started this, with the athletics, with the wrestling, and Sarah can back me up on this, we didn't guarantee within
Nope.
2 years that they would have it, but we kind of guaranteed under the table that we would have something for them to be able to wrestle it, to practice it, within 2 years. This supports it. 2 years from now.
I
they
said
will have their
absolutely
own.
nothing for 2 years. That would be right under that,
Exactly.
right on that mark.
It'll be fine.
But it's just, and it's just not just the wrestling room either. We need a bigger weight room.
Yeah.
Our Phi Ed kids and even our adult classes that are in there through, Sarah would say to you that there's not much room in there when our adult classes come in and
It's a very small.
We're in the
So you think it'll be a lot more?
Right, I think this
than
is
what we have?
absolutely necessary
Absolutely.
for our
Because you
community
said
and our
it'll be
school.
like
I'm not, I
pieces.
just,
I get your
The-
courtyard, because I've
for
been,
me is,
when
You
you
see
asked,
that corner, you see it's surrounded by 3 walls, and it's like, why can't we just slap a roof on it?
and I get why, they say because they're not load bearing walls and they'll be beams that
Right.
go across
They
and
are.
lighting and heating and all that, which I'm hoping.
They are load bearing,
Yep.
but just for the existing building.
Right, I know, that's what I.
so you're basically talking another $2 million
And then
to do
every
that.
road around it will also not have any natural light.
well, I was gonna say, at that point, then we'd have to raise
it up
theirs,
That's-
around the edge.
No,
do a this number.
that would be, so I'll skip ahead real quick.
Sure.
Like if the whole reason the concepts look like this is because we gotta have the sides of this. We can't really have it any higher than the existing wall. Cause then we have to account for snow load on the existing roof.
Sure.
And so the heights are important, so we've sucked everything in so that you don't drag down the middle is the high part because we pulled it away from the existing building, so we don't have to reinforce the existing structure.
Which one of option
And
A, B,
those are
and C is cheaper?
windows though, so you're saying that that's just not gonna give
Probably.
enough light into those classrooms if we were to put a roof
But
over
brick,
the
that's
courtyard?
why I wondered.
That's not enough light?
So
Or
in this,
would
Because I
it
know
give
when we
enough
did
light?
the-
so in this option, there's two
And
windows in every classroom.
Yes,
And all of, if we push this
It ended
in,
up almost like
every
a $20,000 difference.
right, forget me pushing it in, let's just say we put a roof over the whole darn thing. You're saying that the
Conversation
natural
piece
light wouldn't,
of beauty
well, I see you're covering
for
2 windows
years.
by that, well, this option covers the 2 windows that are facing that piece.
yeah, so
And
we
then
still,
south
you're
of
gonna- so there's some sacrifice on these two that are affected the most.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, can you
So
go back to
they
the
do-
other picture, please?
He can go,
That's
he
my
can go
question.
yeah, so
Perfect.
that you're just saying that the only way
So right,
to get the roof that I really, really
Fair
want
enough.
right now,
is to
this,
go to levy, or to bond, and we don't want to bond as a board, is what we're saying. Okay, that's all I need.
Correct.
Long story short, that's
We're
what
trying
we're
to, we're trying to do the best option for our students, our staff, our school, and to the public with the least amount out of the pocket.
Now can you go back to the other, so the three outside looks so I can ask my question?
yes,
Thank you. Which one of those options is the cheapest option? And which one are you guys pushing on?
We haven't
none,
done that part.
we're not pushing any.
Haven't got.
The one on the bottom would probably be the cheapest, but not by much. Just a little, there's a little less glass in the front.
We have a
And I
baseball
like
field.
it, but I like the thought.
So some of the dialogue was,
If the glass matches more and if it's not excessively expensive, I mean, I like B or C, I'd throw A right out.
Well, and B matches the other side of the building.
It does.
yeah.
I think,
You know.
I think B flows.
I think B the best, but the
To
baseball
be honest, some of
option-
this was because when we had some conversations with Lakewood, so we wanted to show them something. And so like, again, these could change,
Yes.
but again, you sort of got three different options. You got one with a lot of glass with the arch growth that would match existing.
Yep.
You got one with less glass because there was some concern maybe on home run balls or just wear and tear. And then another one that's a little bit more muted and might not cost as much as the curve.
I say we throw A out and just option B and C.
But when this would all be a discussion of what we can call the
We're
corporate.
not there.
It won't, it won't be me, well, it might be up there. We'll
So
see
does
who ends
the-
up on
the
facilities.
The turf would still count as our green space as well, correct?
Yeah, and then they don't count it as a hard, they say we treat it like regular grass. Yes. And the price point isn't much more than, for what we would do there, isn't much more than just actual grass. And then if you have to maintain it or irrigate it, take care of it.
So basically 3A, 3B, you were just
That's-
showing us moving around the
Yeah, it was
storage
just to
room.
show there's some, flexibility. There was talk originally, if there was gonna be any maintenance, you could have two doors, one interior, one exterior to that storage maintenance room to store stuff.
Well, I think there's also that maintenance, that little storage room. You could store things in there that classes could use in the turf, like plyo boxes.
Yep.
Equipment that they carry out to do classes, outside classes like yoga or things like that. You could store in that room, so it makes it convenient.
And proportionally, I would say it's a good sized storage room, but again, we would go the logistics of what actual size,
Right.
what you were gonna store there, make sure it's the right size. And so the options, yeah, they just show a slightly different configuration of rooms and different configuration of but the square footage is the same.
And
Again, because I think if we hit the 3,900 and we don't encroach too much on the courtyard, we can fit everything in here exactly where everything is, will be up for the larger plan. And that's a heavily detailed process. I mean, we pick where outlets are, what kind of equipment, and the flooring, and where the TVs are, all.
A lot of fans.
A lot of it. A lot of it.
How many times have we texted about fans in there? Oh my gosh.
I'll worry about roof and she's worried about fans.
And the goal is for to have the community be able to use the space.
You're worried about what?
The roof, I'm just joking.
Well, I've already determined that the roof's too expensive, so we're not putting a roof on, so I might as well move on to the details.
That's true.
I want fans,
Fans and
make it
windows.
usable.
So then this was just a graphic to just show a little bit more of the courtyard, because the other plan didn't have it. And then, so that turf could all be the same kind of turf. You could continue something similar to the indoor turf out. There's a lot of options when we actually get to that point. We talked to a turf rep, and they'd come present or show us some different options. As, I think from our standpoint, the priority was making it multi-purpose, but then also maintenance, like understanding, we're not gonna go in there and shovel snow out of the way.
Have we given it any consideration yet? And I know this is all school related. Have we given any consideration how the general public being able to use it?
Yeah.
So we,
Also the vegetables at one.
I get it, but do we have the details on when they'd be able to use it, how this, did it?
Yeah,
So
I have some stuff that I've gotten from some other schools that would be open up before school, after school, evenings.
So we do have some consideration on what we're gonna be able to use.
Yep, I have
That's
a
how
plan
it's
in
supposed
place.
to be.
I have a bunch of information I've
Yeah,
gotten.
for the last one,
I wanna
Yeah,
really make
and
sure
is
that
that
we don't
happening at all?
approach that this is just a
if
school.
we buy
Wait,
the exercise pack.
Right,
Yeah.
no, that was cool.
Now,
I don't
That's
want
why they added the
So that has to
bathroom,
be,
right?
this was already promised.
that was another benefit of
There'll be
this
a water
location
fill
too,
station, a
close to-
bathroom.
to parking. So yeah, the public entrance is that one on the bottom right.
Will you be able to access, the only way to access the weight room in the courtyard is through these two entrances and that's it?
Yes.
You can't access it from the school?
And there wouldn't be a code problem if another opening existed into the courtyard outside of just this, based on square footage. So that was another, I think
We looked
we
into
moved
that.
past it, but yeah,
We
the
moved
larger
past
this
that
gets, the more exits you need.
Sure.
And we would run into a problem because
My roof
basically
really gets
needed that.
complicated fast.
but I mean, we spent a lot of, we
Yeah,
started
yeah.
talking about this, I think, in the end of 23. And have gone through, a lot of conversations. So then this is just some photos of the existing choir room. So we got the existing weight room, existing choir room. There's the square footage. We'd have some light demolition in there, the 385 square feet, those offices would get taken out. And then we'd have some, minor finish work that's on the, I'll show on the view plan. So this is just the sort of like the full scope of everything. And then that's the existing weight room, so 1345 per square footage. And there'd be limited demo in here, you got like the steel plate around the bottom, but for the most part, we wouldn't have to do a lot into that space to convert it into the choir room. Maybe some acoustical panels, some minor money on some of them. We can see in the next slide for budget allocated.
Is there dead space back there?
No,
I think there is. If you go back a slide,
dead space.
that little corner, there's no room there. We've looked for it.
This one?
Yeah, in the bottom right corner.
Okay.
Ben and I looked, I think that's dead space,
Okay.
because there's no room that goes back there.
Yeah, I think we would take more.
Yeah.
That's not a big budget thing. So then here's what it would be new, the choir room, we're moving to here, we, like I said, we do limited finish work, maybe some acoustic panels, and then that would be the rest of them.
That room's right here, right? Down and stuff, it's right here.
Yep. About 23, a little over 2,300 square feet. So we do finish upgrades and put wall pads around it. And this was, again, it kind of had a ceiling to make sure it fit in the bucket.
What's that room called? Multi-purpose?
Multi-purpose. Yeah, so it's just not wrestling.
Multi-purpose.
I had classes could use it in the fall and the
Yeah.
spring.
I can change that.
What do you typically guys do on the contingency percentage?
So at the start, 10, 5 is design and 5 is construction. So our project factor is like about 25%. This is less because this is straightforward.
Yeah, that one, I'll worry about the other one.
So this 310 is not included in the 2.8 on the
No.
other.
No.
Because this
That's
is,
coming.
Primarily, because I think we were gonna try to fund this.
Yeah, we have to fund that 310 out of our own unreserved.
Yep.
Because you can't lease levy existing buildings.
yep,
Where are we at percentage?
What's our?
What is our percentage?
15?
15%, I think. Yeah.
So here are the 3 exterior shots again, and then one of the other cost implications, just the grade does drop down here a little bit, so we have a sidewalk and a retaining wall. And then public main entrance right there. We thought made the most sense, I'm assuming that's where it'll land up, but what side the doors on, the exact configuration, like I said, will be up for further discussion. So we did 2 schedules, showing it 2 different ways. This one here just shows durations, doesn't necessarily fit within a calendar year, the next one does. But just to give you an idea of what we're looking at. So for the approval process, anything required with the board, and then primarily the MD review and comment, right now, they're asking for at least 90 days to review and do the review and comment. So there's some time to put it together. There's some, submit it, get them to look at it. So I have 4 to 5 months. To me, that should be high, will be high. I think we can do it in less than that, but I've done this enough times where I try to be as conservative as possible. But at a bare minimum, it'll be the time it takes us to put it together and 90 days. And then a lot of these next design phases, they can be concurrent and kind of overlap, and I don't think we won't need quite a month for all of these, but again, I just put out 1 month for sort of every step along the way. So the core planning group, schematic design development will be the more user-intensive process, getting feedback from the team, looking at materials, layout of that. And then construction documents and bid. And then these might seem a little long compared to what the scope is, but they include, project plan review, long lead time items, project closeout, punch list, is sort of the complete duration of the project. So 5 to 7 for the fitness weight, from 2 to 3 for the interior. You won't need the 2 to 3 for the interior, but we just kind of looked at it like it could happen over the summer. So I get to be safe. So then I just ran through this, like, okay, where to go right now, what could it look like? And again, this is up for more discussion, but all those durations are just put into the actual calendar year. And the way I have this set up currently right now is this whole thing would be bid as one package from a budget standpoint, and for some economy and scale, we think that makes a lot of sense. So what we would do is we would start construction on the additions basically as soon as we could. I have that right now, maybe finish out the first of the year of 27. And then we would probably wait until the summer to do the rest of the work and do the full move. Because we would need the weight room and the fitness room to be up and ready to take the equipment from the existing room. And then we don't want to do that. It's probably too obtrusive to do that during the school year. So we just wait for the summer to do the move around in the interior renovation part. So the wild card on these ones is construction and plan review. State plan review and local plan review have varied from 8 weeks to 20 weeks. So even size of project doesn't matter, but that's why there's some extra fluff in the schedule on the front end and on the back end to just accommodate for that. And it doesn't matter size of project, it's just whatever you get in the queue. So we'll vet out a lot of this information ahead of time and try to get a pulse on all that so we know what we're getting into, but as of right now, the plan review process is probably the biggest wild card. MD is pretty good with staying within their time frame of 90 days. And there's no, again, if the schedule needed to push, we could do that too. There's fluff in here to where everything could be done towards the spring of 27 and we can move in the summer. But when we do our research, when we get in the project, we'll figure out and we'll get a better handle on, hey, we think if we move this a month this way, 2 months that way, we're going to save a lot of, money for extra for a while.
One way or the other,
Yeah.
it should be done by
Yeah.
September of 2027.
Yeah,
sure.
The intent with the first one,
We're in the new,
the intent with the
New
first one
conference
would be, you'd be able to get it weather tight.
Yeah.
Before it gets really cold, so then you don't gotta pay for count.
Yep.
So it's almost like you do this schedule, or you just wait and do it in the next year's spring and summer, so then I gotta pay for all the time.
Any other questions?
And then I have
Okay.
examples, I just put some examples of other. Pelican Rapids, smaller one,
How many square feet is that one, do you know?
I have it, it's 25. Mora. This is Orono. I noticed I didn't have it labeled. But again, this was more community-based, this example. This is Zimmerman. I put this one in here. This is 5,000 total square feet. There's a lot behind you in this photo here, but I picked this one because it's kind of similar from a configuration of a higher ceiling in the middle of the turf. We would have to be a little bit higher so we could try to get some lights in. This is in the middle of the building, so. But I felt like this was good from a spatial, it'd be pretty similar to this.
Okay. The numbers you're showing us, does that include the equipment, or this is just
Yeah.
structure? It does include the equipment.
The equipment is in the FFF number,
Okay.
Do you have a breakdown of that yet or not? Just
the 525.
Oh, the F,
Yeah.
okay.
So
I
that'll
was
be,
wondering what that was.
that'll be, we'll have to get like soil borings and testing, that'll be fees, that'll be furniture and like technology TVs. And it's healthy, again.
Thanks.
I
Right.
think when I looked at it, this was all new. So it could, but that equipment is.
Yeah.
And we would use some of our current stuff, because some of it's fairly new.
Yeah.
So that might help reduce some of that cost too, or let us do other things with that money,
Sure.
cameras, security cameras, so
Lockers. something.
lockers or, whatever.
So our project, like cost factor is typically 20 to 25%. And that's, like I said, all those fees, testing, design contingency, so things that might come up while we're in the weeds planning, and then also construction. So once we get into it a little bit more from the design standpoint, that number typically goes down. Because we can cut off 5% design. And there should be no long lead time items other than some steel stuff. So we look into different options, like that could be an early bid package, or we can try to get that in sort of sooner if we think it's gonna be a problem. Rogers. Just examples with turf in the middle with equipment on the side with a lot of glass was sort of the criteria for some of these photos. We had to start with 20, and we figured we'd just kind of leave it down. But this is pretty standard. I would say I've done 10 weight rooms the last 3 years, and they've all had a configuration.
Any other questions? Then I would entertain a motion to approve the plan for construction and remodel with a lease levy for weight room, auxiliary gym, and choir room.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Now, any questions, comments, or concerns?
When will you pick the design? You're gonna pick between these two for the facilities
I
committee?
think we haven't even.
Yeah,
Or
that
is it just-
was just a starting point.
Oh,
Yeah, we'll get user groups together and some facility committee people will be on that, and coaches and kids.
You know, feedback like we did for everyone else.
Yep.
In the
Yep.
CTC center.
And we'll be with Todd and talk, because, buildings and ground stuff, and AD, and whatever stakeholders the district
Yep.
wants essentially.
Yep.
We'll be a part of it.
Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. So we're getting the weight room. Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Robert. We'll be in touch, I'm sure.
Tomorrow,
What's that?
I'll follow up with you tomorrow.
Yeah,
He's gonna need it.
He's gonna need that.
yeah, I'll need a nap in about a half hour.
I'll get you in a generous mood.
Yeah. No, I appreciate the work, and I know
What time's
it's,
his next scheduled minute?
I'll leave there.
I think it's a good project. It's a good starting point for the things that we needed as a group in our school, and it's really gonna, I think our community will use it too. That's our goal. you know?
Well, it has to be.
Yeah.
That's the phrase.
Has to
I don't
be.
like them will use it, they will use it.
Well, it has to be
Got to
offered.
be this time.
Yep.
What was that?
The varsity football team has to lift in shifts. So like ninth and 10th grade lift, and then we're, like I have to lift in shifts.
The community's paying for it, so I care about them getting in there. On it.
Very true.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Anything else from facilities?
That was it.
That was a little-
That was enough.
I think that's the most discussion I've ever participated since being on this board.
Okay, and we're moving on to personnel. We did not meet, however, the last time we did meet, we got a preview copy of a retirement letter from Mr. Malmberg, and I would like to make a motion to accept that letter.
I'll second it.
Brian would like to second it. Now we can have any questions, comments about Mr. Malmberg choosing
What
to
happens if you
retire.
don't accept it? I was gonna say, is anybody gonna say no? I don't know.
Well,
Then
I,
you-
I've, just a couple comments. It's been a great 10 years. I can't believe it's been 10 years. I appreciate the boards that I've worked with, and all of you have been great. The school has been great. It's been I couldn't have asked for a better fit for me as a superintendent, and kind of getting emotional because it's kind of hard to believe but it's ready for me. It's time for me to do some other things, and I feel good about what we've done. We've added a lot of things for our school in 10 years, a lot of programs, facilities, from athletic complexes to CTC center. We've done a lot in 10 years, and we've done a lot together as a group, so I appreciate it. And like they saying goes, once a Husky, always a Husky. So I'm sure wherever I'll end up or whatever I'll do, I'll be watching YouTube on Friday nights or Thursday nights for volleyball or whatever. So I appreciate it, and I appreciate everything you guys have done for me.
Well, as board chair and one of the ones that has worked the longest, we may have butted heads often, but we've done a lot of great things together. You're right, Dad. You've done a very good job for us. And other than there will be, I can't name all the things we would miss. I would say your fiscal responsibility has been absolutely spot on in Rockstar. So thank you for your time.
Appreciate it.
We'll look forward to the next 6 months, 7 months.
Yep, it'll be a good process, and I'll help whatever I can. And like when I was hired, Chuck, Chuck helped out a lot when I took over, and I'll help with that transition as well as best I can.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
He's retired.
Until June 30th.
So when do we start?
The
That's
next
next.
thing we are going to discuss is our next step in this process is to approve a contract with MSBA to conduct a superintendent search.
I'll make that motion.
I will second it. So any questions or comments on how that works or when?
I do have one question on this contract that was emailed out. On these fees, that's like to be determined for national advertising, for additional in-person meetings, did they give any like estimates or breakdowns of what that might look like?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear your first part, like for the extra meetings and
Yeah,
stuff?
so I'm
Yeah, they just kept, they said to be
the fees on this
determined.
contract, there's the base,
Yeah.
which, and then there's plus to be determined, plus to be determined, plus to be determined.
I think it kind of depends on what you
guideline?
guys want, how many times do you need to meet?
Yeah.
So I think they leave it pretty generic, I don't think
And
it's a
I
lot.
don't think they also give, well, each meeting is $200. or
No,
each
I'm
meeting is
just thinking
$400.
like the advertising schedule.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they don't
Yeah.
because different cities will cost different, like we.
And
Can
will
we
we,
cap
and
it?
will we really do nationwide?
Okay.
Yeah.
Can we,
That's where we
which
would-
makes sense, I just,
Can
I
we
didn't know if
cap
they
it?
had.
Can we
almost
cap
like
it?
all
Can we
of
just say
Yeah,
to
we
them?
choose that we don't have as many
Yeah,
meetings.
you guys
I think
will
you'll
set
know
that.
when you meet with them more. This is just
Yeah.
kind of the preliminary contract. You can sign up for what you want to or not want to.
I was very impressed with them when we met with them last
Mm-hmm.
January, and they rolled up, just like the meetings in January, the public for them.
And I don't know if you remember the last time when we did Mike's, they do a very good job. I know different schools that have done their own.
There was only 2 here. There's only 2 on this board that were here for the last.
I
year.
would not recommend
So 2.
doing
Well,
it on your own.
I was not
Yeah,
here.
no,
There are different companies, but MSBA has done a nice
And I
job
think
for us
the
in
other
the
thing is
past,
they
so
keep
I-
you guys out of trouble.
Yes.
By you
They
guys
make
doing
sure it's all
something that you
legal,
shouldn't do,
it's all-
like even releasing a name of somebody that
Yes.
shouldn't have been released because you guys saw they just keep you guys as a board out of trouble. They handle all the stuff, and they did it. I as part of it when I was here, I thought they did a nice job recruiting me. They were very good to work with when I was thinking about applying. So
And they go to national conferences.
Yeah.
And talk to a lot of the superintendents of them.
I think
So they sometimes just have an idea of, without paying for an advertisement, it's like, oh, so and so. kind of thing.
and I talked to Barb. The plan was to get you guys to approve it in November. She'll be in touch, probably looking at meetings starting in January, February. That whole concept being done by February, hopefully. It's kind of what the timeline was, is what I told her. I thought you guys would want to kind of be done, get it out there as soon as you can, so people who are interested can apply. There'll be a lot of openings. The last couple of years, there's been a ton of soup openings, so the sooner the better for you guys to get a really good candidate.
Right. Any other questions on approving the contract with MSBA? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Since we didn't meet, that is all, unless Brian has something for
I do
personnel.
not have anything else, Madam Chair.
And let's move on to curriculum.
we did not have a curriculum meeting, but we did have a district leadership team meeting, and, we had actually tabled a couple of things from our last board meeting to this meeting, so I'll just turn it over to Ryan.
So we have 3 things on the agenda that will be part of the presentation, and then the 4th one is the consortium. I'll give a brief description in terms of CIS option that we're doing moving forward. So this will serve as our annual presentation for the Comprehensive Achievement in Civic Readiness, formerly known as World's Best Workforce.
This one definitely rolls off the tongue.
This one, yes, exactly.
I just,
Not nearly as good as World's Best Workforce.
I mean, I get changing some of the criteria forward, but can't we just leave the name? Something a little.
that's just like,
New legislators, new things. Yeah. So I made a copy of the presentation, so you guys have a copy of that as well. With the presentation, I gave you a copy of the DLT presentation. I did a shorter version for the meeting tonight in doing the presentation of the civic, or the comprehensive achievement and civic readiness portion, okay? So I have that there, and then you have a copy of the MDE template. That is the official report template that will get submitted in December. And then the last copy that you have there is the 4th thing, which is the consortium conversation. So with our CA, I'll just say comprehensive achievement, I'm just going to shorten it. Just CA, right? So a couple of highlights in here. So there's very similar in terms of areas within that were World's Best Workforce. They're not reported necessarily in the same way. Some of them are just more long-term goals that we have as a district. And then in addition of talking about lifelong learners is in there as well. So a couple of highlights in here. With early childhood, the question of always, are we ready for K? Are we ready for school? Last year, we spent the year looking at curriculum. That was part of my reports throughout the school year. We did choose Scholastic, and that is in the current implementation this year. So that just kind of a highlight in terms of the connection to one of the areas they want us to talk about. In literacy, elementary, we set our goals based off Fast-Bridge scores last year. We met our goal by over 10% of what we had set at the elementary level. At the middle level, we met at the middle level with the number of students we were like right on it with what we had set for a goal. And then mathematics, we met by 6+% at the elementary level. And actually with the DLT, I had a couple of people come over and talk to me about that. We met at the middle level as well. Just some of the calculation in terms of the number of students that fluctuates over the course of the year. The goal was to move 18 students. We actually moved to 25 students. So we met at the middle level as well. And then we have a multi-year goal around career and college readiness, which was a big part of World's Best Workforce. So around career pathways and moving forward and access to career and college information through school. And then area for improvement, just as we're looking at this and as we look at the data, is that big area in terms of engaging our high school students in this process and in the testing and the data collection. We found that with Fast-Bridge. We previously had the STAR test that went through 8th grade. And so we had high school students not even used to taking that test or even why we would take that test. And that really showed in our assessment. It showed in our data. That is something that we changed this year, talking to each of the grade levels and seeing huge gains just by having that conversation around why are we collecting the data, why are we taking the test.
Well, even the 2 students that came to the DLT meeting were like,
yeah,
we didn't know before that these tests
right.
didn't matter. So
Right.
we were just like, and they were like, we actually tried this thing.
And we saw huge gains from spring to fall, where we typically would see a summer slide or a dip. And we actually saw gains of, in some cases, almost 10% or more. So each of the areas in terms of, I talked a little bit, school readiness, we did choose a curriculum. It's called, through Scholastic, called On My Way. It is in current implementation this year. So that is a long-term goal that we are looking at. The Other areas, close the achievement gap. One of the things that we talked about as a DLT is where we are proficiency. We need to get our tier 1 and all of that instruction more in line to, I talked a little bit at the DLT about 80-20, right? So a balanced system is where you have 80% proficiency and you have about 20% that needs support. And we are around 50%. And so how are we moving that entire group there? Right? So then in a balanced system, we can start to look at categories. We can start to look at whether it's socioeconomic or race or whatever in terms of closing those gaps. So our goals were set across all students, all grade levels. At the elementary level, you can see, I mentioned earlier, we met. We went by 6.5% in mathematics. We met at the middle level as well. Right in here, right there. And then high school level, we did not meet that. We did not meet that goal. And part of that is that participation piece in kids taking it seriously. In reading, we met for our reading goal. We met, I mentioned before, a couple people talked to me at the DLT. We had 18 kids was our goal. We met 25 students that we moved above. When we talked about those goals, one of the things with this year's goals that we set, to keep in mind that that goal we set when we say we're going to move 5 kids at 5th grade, or we're going to move 6 kids, that's keeping all of our students at proficiency where they're at right now and adding those 5 kids to it. And that really changes the conversation when you start to plan, when you start to look at that. And then again, very similar in high school, that we did not see that happen, but we also saw just not, I will say, apathy towards that. Like, why am I taking this test? We've asked you to take the MCA test, and we're asking you to take another test. We're looking at some ways and stuff of how we change that this year. And again, saw some very positives in the fall. The area of college and career readiness, this is schoolings, is the primary area for us. That's getting students in. The goal was around getting 95% of students into schoolings for the school year. We got close to that last year. This year, just to give you a preview to it, in the first 3, we call it's homeroom time that we've scheduled this year, we have 100% of students in schoolings. So we have surpassed the goal. And I joked a little bit at DLT, it doesn't mean total completion of like some of the assessments, some of the pieces of schoolings, but we have them all in the system. So the graduation goal, which I love to put in here, this is the data that we actually don't have yet for last year. We don't have that from the state in terms of what our graduation rate is, but I always present on what we calculate. We had 89 students enrolled for us in that last quarter of last year. We had 89 students graduate. So we put 100% in the
Are they proficient? As they leave, are they proficient?
That is the question, right? In terms of reading and mathematics, that's the thing that we have to improve on, right? And we are seeing gains. This last year, the fast bridge data that we're seeing is moving in the right direction to move it up.
Yep.
So we want to see that move faster. And then the last piece, which it was new to us, it wasn't in World's Best Workforce, but talking towards lifelong learners, and in that defining piece, it is, I will say, still a push towards that career college readiness and life ready. And we've kind of written this in terms of a multi-year, and we'll continue that piece of it. We have talked about career pathways or programs of study. We have 4 main categories that really fit this area in terms of deep data, what is available to our students in terms of employment. We are to the point where now we have to start to hone those career pathway pieces, that we have classes that match that. And so we are doing some of that work. We have a small engines class and a metals class that we started last year, and we really started it kind of on a whim because we had the need for some additional electives. We found a person who was willing to come in and did that in a part-time manner. We had a huge success in terms of number of kids wanting to take it. We need to improve that course now moving forward and attach that into more of a motorsport, small engines piece, because that area matches the Greater Lakes area, right, so hugely. Same thing with hospitality, food industry, like it's a no-brainer for a career in our area when we talk about kids. Construction, engineering, manufacturing, again, you look at our area, who are the people that we have that are also looking for employees moving forward? There are a lot in this area. And then we have that fourth category that also, we want to make sure that we reach to all of our students. We have kids that they do look towards arts and communications or the arts. When I used to, with my previous position where I was in teaching and learning as well, we looked at career pathways and looking at that data, that those first three are 60 miles around us. We want to find jobs and careers and create programming that is available to kids where they can get a job in that, right? That fourth one is, we always talk about it, is global. Like when we think about that, because we have kids that are passionate in the arts, and to really be upfront and honest with them and say, that might be bigger than 60 miles from here, right? You might be in a different state, you might be in another part of the country. So that's our kind of achievement. I'll just say CACR, right? CA, right? There's just too many words to it. Included with the report, and I talked about the DLT, is also to look at the MCA test and look at where we ended up from last year. So these are just a brief description of the MCA for math. We ended higher than the state of Minnesota by about 2%. You can see we're the blue line. This is the trend over from 2017. Remember that in 2020 we didn't have an assessment that year with COVID, and so you can see as the state of Minnesota also has trended quite low as well. We kind of are interchanging back and forth in terms of mathematics, but we are in the upward trajectory right now. In reading, we are aligned almost perfectly with the state, and you can see that also in the trend. We had 49.4%, I think the state was 49.6%, so really the same. And then science. Science was the shocker that nobody wanted to see. So science, this is the state. You can see the state in red. You can see where we're in blue. And I will say the thrill at DLT was to say that we were above the state. We scored above the state. This is a different test this year. So we had talked about over the last 3 to 4 years, the science scope and sequence changed in terms of the new science standards that were adopted. Physical science and earth science changed in terms of 6th grade and 8th grade, they switched around. And this is the MCA4 test that was given. This data is still with the state of Minnesota in terms of them looking at it to see what's going on and what happened. You can see though the trend is statewide. It was a big, okay, this test is brand new to us, what's going on? So there's a lot of conversation happening in the background. I don't know that there's anybody that's giving any specifics that I think why necessarily. And one of the things that I've started to reach out to is who are the places that had success, right? Who are the ones that had success? So I do have our region, which I've given each year for you guys, both math, reading, and science. To give you just a glimpse at the region, we are in yellow. The yellow dotted line is our comparison across the board. The black is the state. As I mentioned, we were ahead of the state in mathematics, but you can see the two areas in particular that we're reaching out and trying to find more information about is peers. Peers continues to be ahead in both math and reading. Aiken outpaced it in reading as well. So in terms of the rest of us around mathematics, you can see we're very similar to Brainerd. Brainerd's actually lower than us. We're very similar to Pequot, and then you can see everybody else is pretty much below.
Have we met with peers?
We have, Wendy Hall has been meeting with their literacy person in terms of reading. I'll show you that one next.
Okay.
I've reached out to a couple people in the math departments, and one of the things we're doing at the middle level is piloting some different curriculums around what are you using, how are you using that? It really is around instructional practice. It is not the curriculum per se, it is how are you teaching it. So reading, as I mentioned, we were the same as the state of Minnesota, but you can see again, peers, it's not just by a little bit. I mean, it's
What grade is this again?
So this is everybody that took the MCA test. So it's 3rd grade through 8th grade.
Okay.
And then in case of reading, it's also 10th grade. In math, it was 11th grade. So in high school, 10th grade takes the reading, math is given in 11th grade, and then science is based on subject. And then comparison results for science, you can see where we are in the yellow, very similar across the region. Peers though.
Blowing it out of the water on
Yeah.
everything.
What was their percentage on that one? Almost 40?
That's my
No,
question too. It's
I want
way
to,
up there.
actually it was 35, 36%, I think.
And you
It's the
said,
same color as my background, sorry.
you said the answer you got was it's instructional, so they just have some phenomenal teachers that get the kids that.
In
Like-
terms of mathematics, and part of it is because I taught at Peers as well. And so
Okay.
looking at, in terms of mathematics, how you're teaching mathematics, right? And one of the big pushes from the state of Minnesota right now is that in a traditional mode, we teach fluency around mathematics, addition, subtraction, multiply, divide constantly, right? And we don't put enough into conceptual understanding around math, and then that application to real world, right? And so if you look at curriculums across the board, they have all of those things in it, but we tend to focus pretty heavily on, do we know our time steps? Do we know our multiplication tables? Can we add and subtract on like in a moment's notice? And all of those things are important, but they have to be balanced with this understanding of mathematics in terms of number sense isn't just adding and subtracting numbers. Number sense is understanding that there's a relationship with these numbers to this real world application.
Sure.
Right? And so it's changing some of that. Peers uses a curriculum called CPM, which is a problem-based curriculum. And that's some of the things that we're looking at the middle level. So looking at a resource there, but what has to go along with the resource is also how we teach it.
Ryan, one other thing we touched base on is the correlation between special ed and free and reduced.
Correct. Yeah,
Those
and I
schools
mentioned-
that tested or scored quite higher have much lower free and reduced and lower special ed rates.
So that's one of the things we looked a little bit. I did mention at the DLT, I did take free and reduced across the board, looking at the entire region. The lowest free and reduced in the region is Pierce as well, and it certainly has a correlation.
Yeah. A little bit of it, but still, those numbers are phenomenal.
They are.
Yeah, so they're doing a good job even with that.
Absolutely. And the MCA, again, it's this average of 3rd grade through 8th grade plus a high school course. You're not necessarily going to see your like 80-20 that I mentioned in terms of a balance system. You're not going to see that necessarily on the MCA score for the district, right? But you want to see it more and more for those grade level. All right, so within your packet, I did include fast bridge data. I didn't put it for this report, thinking it was probably going to get a little long as we went. But I do have the district goals.
It's only an hour.
Right.
Mike's loving this.
The district goals set for the year. Yeah, I know, exactly. Actually, I'm thinking it's like a hook.
I'm about ready to like all
Like,
over
you
here.
gotta start playing the music, like at the
Yeah,
end,
right,
you
yeah,
have the cake,
exactly.
pass it down.
So setting the district goals, we had a lot of conversation around this over the summer and into the fall. We did it as the same process that we had last year because we had a lot of success with that. So the goal for each of the areas, so math and reading in elementary, middle, and high school, the goal is on the far left. Okay, so that is the goal that's set. That's the piece that I'll submit with the CACR. The breakdown, though, is the most important part because we broke down each grade level and they all roll up into that goal. Right?
I feel like
So-
that's a hefty goal of kindergarten.
It is, and we actually talked about that a lot. So kindergarten last year had, in literacy, last year we're at like 73%. They had this huge gain in kindergarten. And so we talked about it quite a bit of whether or not, should we adjust it? Where should we be with it? And we really took the high rigor piece and said, let's set the goal.
because they should actually, we
All
discussed, all the grades should be at 80%.
Right, and that's the goal.
Like,
We're
see,
not
they're
gonna have
moved
to-
up every year after they,
Yes.
after kindergarten
Yep.
meets.
Yep.
Let's hit them all.
Yes.
One a year.
We talked at the DLT, the kindergarten and first grade, the test is a little bit different too, and that's piece that we're actually talking as a region around it because they are one-on-one assessments, right? So that's teacher to teacher. So if you're giving the assessment, I'm giving the assessment, there's a lot of conversation of, are we giving it the exact same way, right? Second grade all the way up through high school is a digital test. And so in terms of continuity, it is very much the same. So we set them for literacy. We set them for both the elementary, the middle school level as well, trying to bump us up further as we're going, right? Because we want to get to that balanced system or above it, right? And then looking at 9th and 10th grade, we set it for 9th and 10th grade because the MCA test goes to 10th grade. At that point, we have a lot of CIS classes, PSEO classes where kids are not, we don't have the consistency in attendance. And so we set it and stopped it at 10th grade for literacy. We stopped it at 11th grade for the math as well. And so you can see we did the same thing for kindergarten this time as well. They ended last year at 77%. So pushing them to, we should have that high expectation. And so in your packet, you do have copies of it. We've set it for the middle, we've set it for the high school as well. One last piece, and that is your description or kind of a contract piece that superintendents are going through. We've talked about this for a number of years, having a consortium together for CIS teachers in the area, so CLC. We got that this year by doing some of Alex Tech, but also knowing that we also have this outer back door as well in all of the districts around us. And so when we have a CIS class, so we have business entrepreneurship that's going, when we have 6 students register, 7 students register, we have to really debate, is this enough students to maintain this class or to run it? This is a pooling together of those resources so that we can register that class and have a full class for it. Many of these classes, they are online courses that we share together or that we're proposing to share together. This also gives us access to CIS teachers that are in other districts within our region. And so it is an agreement that actually will run through CLC. And that running of CLC, they'll organize it, but really it's the districts that are using it.
We've already been doing it.
We've been doing a pilot with Pequot right now where we've shared, Matt Sober teaches the business on spring year class. And he has it over there and over here. The one thing with CLC is we can use the same learning management system. So D2L is what they use. We can use a shared system. We don't have to try to figure out how their kids are going to get into Schoology from us or figure out how to get into there. So.
Little update on that too, since I heard yesterday from Kurt and Pequot that Brainerd, Crosby, and Pine River are not going to do it. So it's going to be the 3 schools, Pequot, Piers, and us. So they've decided not to do it just for various reasons, but so basically we've been doing it with Pequot. Piers is going to jump on board. So you see the 3 of us.
Okay. 3 Ps.
Mm-hmm.
This is PSEO or basically PSEO classes?
It's college in the schools. They're getting college credit for it, but the teacher is our teacher or a high school teacher.
So we don't.
Okay, so we still get the dollars for butts and seats. is
We
what it
do,
is.
yeah. We pay a fee.
Right.
So we pay about $3,000 a year for the teacher to teach that class at the college level.
Okay.
But they're our teacher. They know our kids.
Or their teacher.
Or their teacher.
Or
Or
their
their teacher. Like,
It might be a CIS class that they have that we don't.
Right, so it's just so we can
We're
still
sharing,
offer a class,
right.
but
Right.
perfect.
Trying to give more opportunities.
Increase our opportunities and also make sure we can fill a class.
Nope. We couldn't make a motion even if we did, because it's not on here.
No, and this was they're just working out in terms of between the schools. Any questions?
Anybody have any questions for Ryan? Nope. Thank you very much.
You bet.
Anything else from curriculum? No? You're good? Awesome. Policy?
Consider this the second reading of policy 707, transportation of public students. It's enclosed in your packet.
We will probably need to meet in December. I think there's some new policies to update, so I'll look at that.
They're always-
Can we meet before December?
I'll look. You're pretty much busy in December.
I'm gone pretty much the whole month.
And it might be able to wait till January too, so I'll just look at them and see what they are.
Activities.
We did meet, we met today at 1:30. We talked about the fall program updates. First started out with the participation numbers. You guys have a packet on everything along that
Yes,
line, right?
there's a packet here from,
Correct. Everything
the
we went over.
activity committee was left on our table.
So you guys can look at the numbers as you want. Cross-country girls was 9, cross-country boys were at 13 for the year. Football was at 95, volleyball, 7 through 12, this is all 98. Robotics was 15, 7 through 12, and the middle school musical, which is 6 through 8, was at 49. So that was the numbers for the fall participants. As you guys can look in here, the survey results, we perused through these and kind of looked at the good and the bad and everything. Pretty much everything was mostly positive on just about everything. Of course, there's always a few negatives on that side, but overall, very good reviews for the survey results. Coaching evaluations, they're done. New uniforms, did you say football? New uniforms will be football for next year. Then we went on to winter activities program update. Coach openings, none. We are good and fully staffed for coach openings for the winter activities season. And then we got into the athletic complex update. JV softball scoreboard the electrical will be done before the snow flies this year. The dugouts will be done before the start of the season, and
Unless
then
they were done by yesterday.
Yeah, that was sleet.
Sorry,
That wasn't snow, that was sleet. Totally different.
Flakes.
it snowed at my house.
So the softball dugouts will be done by the end of, or before the beginning of the season. We will have the huddle for both locations by opener. We'll have them wired in. The batting cages, the turf is in, and then we will put the nets up when spring comes. And that pretty much was everything within the activities. It was actually a fairly quick meeting, which is concerning, because usually it's an hour and a half. Then we went into the community ed side of it. Recent community ed classes, the fall update, we had Husky Pup K through 12 football camp, 24 registered. Yeah, I'm looking at this right. Varsity football camp, 9 through 12, 30 registered, third and fourth grade flag football, 44 registered, 5 through 6, 41 registered. Got into the volleyball, third and fourth were 22 third grade, 26 fourth grade. We had 2 teams and 3 teams respectively. Fifth and sixth grade volleyball, 18 fifth grade, 23 sixth graders. Cross country, 15 registered. 2 second and third, 4th through 6th cross country, there was 24 registered. Swimming lessons, we had 32 registered session 1 in June and 29 registered for session 2 in July. We had a babysitting 101 class, there was 13 registered in July. We had fast kids, and that was 18 registered in July. Youth firearm safety, 12 registered full in August and 18 registered full for October.
The way they took the anybody on the waiting list from the August one got first dibs on the next one.
Is that what I would have?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's.
Was there the one question I didn't get a chance?
Were filled with first come first.
So I'll have to ask about that. What is the total seating capacity for that? But
18.
is it 18?
Yeah, okay.
Thank you. And then the Bailey Builds Mosaic was canceled. And we had defensive driving in November, 14 registered. Art Club, 28 registered, they're full. Husky Paws Art Club, 18 registered. Open gym started November 2nd. Total body conditioning, you got to register through TCO. 17 have registered so far. Winter sports youth sports registration. Baseball ends on basketball, I got it, ends November 19th. Wrestling ends November 26th. K through 2 basketball ends December 3rd. The boys' youth basketball tournament will be January 3rd. Girls' youth basketball tournament will be January 10th. Singlets and basketball jersey order update. So obviously those are on order as of right now, if I'm not mistaken, so. Then youth sports philosophy and Pillager Youth Association discussion. Basically what we have was when there are enough kids participating to require more than one team at that level, teams will be relatively equal in skill and participants will get equal playing time. That is with the youth sports philosophy. And that will differ from the youth associations on that side, so.
Those two youth tournaments, are we hosting those, or those are just ones we've got on the schedule?
We're hosting.
Yeah, hosting.
And that was it. Adjourned.
Additional speech,
It was just, yeah.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
speech numbers, maybe you want to hit that.
We have 25 kids out for speech
With one coach.
with one coach. So we are gonna move ahead or look at the schedules, or we do already have in the Schedule C to hire that assistant coach. So we were gonna go forward with moving that assistant coach in. So it'll be one head coach and one assistant coach. So other than
Glad
that,
program is going well.
Very good.
there was nothing else.
I think it's been a nice job.
I'm not gonna go over that. That was just a recommendation.
Okay.
Whether we see that come to fruition or not, I don't know, so. And then we adjourned. That was it.
Anything else from activities? Any questions for the activities committee? All right, moving on to budget.
All right, you all have your sheet in front of you. Just an update on the 2025 audit.
Thanks,
We're
Matt.
still waiting on the federal guidelines to be updated, so we cannot finalize our single audit, so that's still lingering out there. Grumblings at our
April, December.
conference. We had a conference last week and I heard grumblings that it's gonna be a while, so. Last week, Stacy and I attended the fall MASBO conference, which is the Minnesota Association for School Business Officials. So we attended the conference in the cities last week. There was a lot of great sessions this year. So we came back with lots of good information. Truth in Taxation, we will have that meeting presented before the board meeting in December next month. And then levy, so we certified that in September. They did another levy run on October 22nd. Our number did not change. It's still at that 6.01%, which is what we talked about at the October meeting. So that is what we're gonna move forward with at the December meeting.
Awesome. Any questions for Missy? Thank you very much. Anything else from budget? No. Thank you. Moving on to other.
Made up something, you're awfully quiet.
We need to set the January reorganization regular meeting date, and it looks like the suggestion of January 12th, which would be the second Monday, I assume.
Yep.
Follow the schedule we're using now. Does that work for everybody?
I will make that motion.
You will make that motion.
To set it for.
Ryan. Is there a second?
Before we start having discussions.
Yep, good job.
I'll second.
And Becky. Now, is there any questions, comments, concerns?
I won't be here.
So it's just the same time as our regular.
Yeah, it's just a regular board meeting, you know. I think technically you have to,
Yeah, do we have
You have
you have
to,
to set your reorganization.
yeah, and you have to have that one before you go
Your
for
other
the
one.
official.
Yeah.
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 So, any other questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Superintendent's report.
Well, I'm gonna be a lot shorter than Ryan.
He's
He does have an important job, folks.
I'm just giving him a hard time. See, Missy was awesome today. Wasn't she awesome? I just have a couple things. Veterans Day program tomorrow,
What time is that?
9:30, CTC Center. That is live streamed as well on our YouTube channel. We have lots of students participating in that, fourth grade, and then high school band, choir, and then we also have some students that have written poems that they're gonna be reading, so we're excited about that. No school Thanksgiving break on the 27th, 28th, and then coming into choir and band concert season in December. So there'll be lots of concerts on Monday nights coming up. So that's all I got. So I've been kind of out the loop, so.
Awesome. Any questions for Mr. Malmberg? All right, then I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make that motion.
I'll second.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Done.
You guys sign that,